welcome everybody here tonight, and it's roll call.
Can you guys hear this? Okay. Ms. Parker? Ms. Kinzer?
Present.
Ms. Hopkins?
Present.
Mr. Pennings? Mr. Moore is present. Mr. Atkinson? Present. Mr. Sims? Present. Mr. Beaver? Here. Mr. Howell? Here. Ms. Morency?
Here.
Mr. Dudley? Here. Good.
Okay, thank you. Now let's stand and have a pledge of allegiance.
Moment of silence.
We're actually here from Springfield Elementary. Before we get started, I just want to say good evening. I'm the proud principal of Springfield Elementary, and I have some of my student ambassadors here this afternoon, this evening to do the pledge. We will go ahead with the moment of silence first.
The pledge and then
The pledge and then a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. Again, we want to remind everybody of our mission. The next item is the approval of the agenda, and I do want to make a couple of changes to it. I'd like to move from consent 2.14, which is about the region's the bank services, and move that to new business, and that would be 3.16. And even though it's not an agenda item, I don't think I'm going to just take my privilege here and move Murray County Education Association. Very brief statement or that right before delegation. So is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented as corrected? The motion is there second? Ms. Hopkins seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Debbie, make the motion. Josh is second.
Any opposition? Okay, and we'll move on. Next is recognitions and announcements. I do, first of all, let me apologize to Springfield Elementary School. I'm just looking at all this nice endowment. Gosh, I'm no teacher. I think you can hear me anywhere. Okay, good. I can hear myself now. You okay? Have you started recognitions and announcements?
Dr. Curtis, if you please come up. I know you're doing the recognition for St. Catherine's for Woodard.
Stan Curtis, principal at Woodard Elementary. Thank you for having us here to present to you. I'm so excited about this program that with Dr. Marzak's blessing and also some of his help that we've helped develop over here with St. Catherine's for ELL students. Our ELL student population increasing a lot at Woodard. And we were fortunate enough to hire a gentleman out of Portland. Y'all hope that against me because he's from Oregon. But now he lives in Murray County. He's just built a home and he lives here. And he has really been an instrument that's been used at Woodard to recreate our whole ELM program. And so I'm going to introduce him. And we call him Mr. K, so I will introduce him as Mr. K. Mr. K, come on up, sir.
We all know that it takes a village to raise a child, and truly, this would never have come about if a lot of people hadn't had the right ideas. I appreciate so much that St. Catherine's Church was willing to step up with lots of enthusiasm Not only have they provided a whole row of people, Father has been engaged. They come to the school, they help the children in the classroom, and every time we have grade reports, we break bread. And that sounds a little bit silly maybe, but what we've done is we realize that all our children need to show up at progress time and talk with the teachers and talk with me about how they're doing. If they're in the ELL program, we don't accept that they're doing okay. They need to be doing better every progress report. What happens if we get together with the parents and the teachers and we fine tune it every time. So with the financial help from Father Davis and the church, we purchase a huge amount of food from a nearby restaurant, bring it over and set it up. And the idea was first that we would feed the parents of our ELL students. And then the rest of the parents would come by the cafeteria and go, this smells really good. And at one grade report event, it got so funny because we had one of the teachers that went and were talking with the parents. And for some of you that have maybe worked with our ELL parents,
It's behind the stage. It's there. House PA.
So it's just been an incredible experience. We have between 75 and 100% parent participation at Woodard. All our ELL parents show up and they participate. We have kinders today that have been in the program since the day I got there that are now meeting at
speakers. It comes out of the middle one though.
starting from 0.
I thought you said you
We
were
are expanding the program
Plug it.
with the blessings of St. Catherine's Church and the school administration. After the new year, we're adding an after-school program called ASAS, After School Academic Support. And the premise is that a lot of our children, they don't go home to a computer lab. And some of them, they don't even go home to a parent that speaks English and can help them with their homework. So the research is really, really solid that when we can reach children of poverty and children who have the struggle of getting over a primary language to get to academic English, they do really well. So that's what we're doing. I would like to recognize Father Davis for his blessings and for all the support. I would like to recognize my Spanish-speaking parent, Mrs. Koseski, who has been on the program, and Miss Eloise Jones, who has been there every time we've been there. Teacher who keeps on teaching, Ms. Casella, okay? And then we have Mrs. Sparkman and her son Drew. They are doing a program that's in addition to helping with the children. Our counselor at Woodard has started a program last year where the children, they can earn these paw-bucks. And when they earn these things, then they get to go to this little school shop that we got. And every time we have that, these two smiling faces are just energizing the children like wonderful. And Mrs. Evanson? Finally, I can't say enough to be thankful to Dr. Curtis for how he has supported the program and how he supported me. I think he got my number fairly quickly and realized if he just threw some bread out in front of me, that I would go for it. So that's what he's done, but I really appreciate that.
Thank you, board, so much for allowing us to present to you. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you as well. It's really wonderful to hear this program and see all the community support and the volunteers helping to do it. We really appreciate you sharing this tonight. Next is
Next, we have a presentation from Springfield Middle School.
Good evening, board members. Tonight I have the distinct pleasure of demonstrating how our Project Lead the Way classes are helping students and transforming lives. The philosophy of Project Lead the Way is to develop problem solving, critical thinking, collaboration, and of course communication skills through STEM-related engineering activities. Manufacturing is responsible for 11.6% of our economic output in the United States, and it brings in $2.3 trillion annually. The United States produces about 18% of the world's goods, and is only second to China, who produces about 20% or 1/5 of the world's goods. Students in our principles of manufacturing classes are learning real-world related concepts, and they're exploring the inner workings of this industry. At this time, I'll ask Mr. Eric to come up, and he's got a special presentation for you for the holidays.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. First, I want to say thank you, Dr. Malone, myself, and Jonathan, come up here, give this presentation. Also like to give thank you to my awesome administrative team, Ms. Sparrow, Mr. Connor, Ms. Pruitt. Got the feedback. They basically allow myself and my classroom to kind of take chances, reach out there and see what all is possible. And basically what we're able to do with what we built over the last few weeks was take pretty much the raw material, make some adjustments to it, and then have a finished product be something hopefully that you guys will cherish for a while. So basically what we did was we took a wood base right here. Students wrote on it, came up with the idea, went on to my computer to use the print machine, cut out some of the sticker process, painted it as well, and then added some more of the writing onto it, and then I'll let Jonathan finish the rest.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jonathan Woodard, and I'm in 7th grade in Springfield Middle School. For our project, we created this block for you all, and we used the plywood base. Some of the students in a different class did the writing. For our class, we drilled the holes through the center to get the end of the block on, as well as we helped with the battery and things like that on it to make it work for you all. We also did the Mod Podge, which is a sealant that will protect the paint so it can become basically waterproof for you all, so you can have it for a while. And that's about it. That's what our class did as a contribution to this project.
thank you so much. I don't know if y'all can see, but we even have a battery. We don't even have to worry about that. So thank you so much. They're wonderful. And what a great project. Appreciate it.
Thank you, board members. Thank you.
Okay. Murray County Education Subcommittee.
I think he's been the best speaker so far tonight. Wow. And that's our logo on the bill. It looks great.
Yeah, thanks for your service.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good evening, board, and Marsac, Chairperson Kinzer. I've also laid out tonight, I've given copies to Dr. Woodard, Jack Oliver, and Amanda Alexander. You guys in front of you, we have our labor collaborative conference together. It's a good mixture. It's a different bunch of people from across the section, representing all the schools, including our unit schools. There are 9, and we have 2 alternates. The names will be given in the record: Sheila Carmack, Amanda King, Joy Bolden, myself, Christy and Curry, Stephanie Newton, Mark Warren, Michelle Walker, Sandra Wilson Mark. Our alternates are Wendy Benfield and Dave Roberts. And as I said, I'm here to desire both parties to indicate my understanding what I've been touched with. It's not available right now, we understand that. We have joint training sometime in January. We can then proceed with collaborative conferencing after that. Mr. Matthew Cockroft from the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Services proposed some dates for Mr. Pennings, Mr. Cockroft, and me to me, so we can determine what day works best for the joint training. But Betty is going to be the substitute at this point for Mr. Pennings until he can return. I've attached, actually it's on the back, the email that Mr. Cockroft sent to you guys, sent to us, so you can see that's on the communication I've had. Mr. Pennings, Ms. Kinder in this case, I look forward to establishing the day of this meeting, so we have to proceed. And Ms. Kinder and I talked about this before the meeting. We'll work on doing that in January so we can proceed as such. So we thank you. We look forward to the process, and hopefully we can produce a good, harmonious, and productive Emily. Thank you.
Let's do it. All right, I need somebody to bring me the delegations that we see signed up to speak. It is by board policy, 5 minutes, no more, but we really love 3. And if you'll come up and give your name, come up to the microphone, give your name and your address. The first one is Marcy Campbell. Macy, excuse me, it looks like home. Macy, I apologize.
It's okay. Good evening, board members. My name is Macy Campbell, and I'm from Hampshire Unit School. I love Hampshire because the teachers are able to connect with the students, and they really feel like they can learn, and they can become friends with the teachers instead of feeling like a number like they would in school. And I love that the students spread kindness, and when somebody is being mean or is bullying another kid, they do tell the teacher and they do speak up, and that it's really easy for people to speak up because they know what's right and wrong, and that Hampshire gives education to many students that need it, that are very close by, and I love that the students in my class have a very good connection with each other because they know what can hurt somebody and what doesn't, and that the students that do cause some trouble, they are reminded of what is right and wrong, and they know that it is okay and that they can do better next time, and that I love Hampshire because they don't treat you like you would be in a big school. Like, say if you get a question wrong or something like that, your teacher doesn't want to necessarily call you out and make you feel bad for it. They would want you to just do better next time and know what to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Cole Brooks.
My name is Cole Brooks. Do I need to say my address?
You have applause coming up here.
I don't know if that was about it. But I'm a senior at Hampshire School. I've gone there for 13 years. My siblings and parents grandparents have all gone there. Much like half my class, I've gone there 13 years, by the way, I forgot to mention that. But at Hampshire, every person that goes there has friends or family or neighbors that also go there. It's very community driven, and that community all comes back to Hampshire because it is not just part of the community, it is the community. It's where we all meet, whether we volunteer our time at the school that it has done so much for us. And that's where we meet up, it's where I grew up, and we put a lot of work into it, and anything that you can do to help us would be very appreciated. Thank you.
I'm Madeline Brooks. I'm his sister. I graduated from Hampshire in 2016. I would like to talk just a little bit about Hampshire and what it means. Of course, I came back here in my Christmas break to speak about it, so clearly I love it. And a lot of these students came to talk about it today, and it's just, like my brother said, very community-based, and it's not just about academics, which clearly we care about, and our test scores show we love learning and doing things correctly. Just before this, we were all talking about our speeches and how to say it correctly and what we needed to do, so we clearly care, but it's just about being good human beings and showing up to these things and showing more than just the intelligence, but doing the right thing and caring and becoming and taking action for it. And I feel like Hampshire does a good job of developing that in students, and I'm a product of that, and I'm thankful that I got to go to school there. So please approve the repairs. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, I'm Katie Pugh, and I'm a junior at Hampshire. I have attended this school since kindergarten, and I can truly say that each and every single person in my class is like a brother or sister to me. And every problem I've ever had has been dealt with there, and it was taken care of. And our academic scores are very good. Our class score was #1 in the county, actually, so I some teams. And the staff treats us like family. I'm able to go to them and talk about my problems, and they open up to me also and talk to my family. My parents both attended there and graduated from there. And we honestly accept everyone. We had so many different people from different backgrounds, and they wanted a different, but we treated them the same as everyone else and treated fairly. The sports there have taught me so much about sportsmanship and dedication and how to treat other people more kindly. And our scores, back to our scores again, if we ever have a problem in the classroom and I'm not either struggling with something, I go to my teacher, or my teacher can see it from themselves because our school is a smaller school. They know who we are and when we're struggling, and they come speak to us about it and tell us what we need to work on or what we can do better for it. I think the repairs that we need to be done as soon as possible so we can attend our school and better and more people can come and live in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And I don't have anything to say that you haven't heard before. But I was on the board in 02 through 06, so I've said that you are. I was on the commission in 2010, I did not seek re-election in 2018. The commission's job was much harder, I assure you. But when I was on the board, the economy was booming. Money, was not a problem, too much of a problem, much like it is now. But whenever the school board, with the help of the commission at that time, they were funding many repairs, just similar to what we're doing now, or what the commission is doing now. Then when the economic downturn occurred, the schools were in really good condition, so there were a number of years that there was almost no money to spend
but we were able to weather that storm because the commission and the school board had worked together, and they had everything in good shape, pretty much. So, I know that the money's sitting there for the repairs at Hampshire, which was on their EMG report. It's been sitting there for about 3 years. It was approved about 3 years ago. I think the money for Highland Park was approved 2 years ago. I understand that, there are some concerns that you're not getting multiple bids, but I assure you, there's no one that does a better job at HVAC than the training. They have superior equipment, they have high-quality workmanship. I'm in construction, I see there's equipment and their quality of work, so I'm not worried about that part of it. And I'm in construction. And I know the other night at the work session, it was mentioned that they put out RFP for Santa Fe, and there were no bids. That is not unusual right now because there is so much work going on, so much work occurring. I myself, in my job, and I hope my son doesn't take offense to this, but I turned down a very large job 2 weeks ago because we could not adequately staff it. So if training can do this work, and I know they can, I ask you to approve these 2 projects, to get this work going. And they said the other night that they would put those 2 schools in good condition for the next 20 years. Believe it or not, there will be another economic downturn. The history repeats itself. We want our schools in good condition. If this will take these schools for 20 years, they'll be in disrepair in 20 years if you don't do anything. We can't afford to build a new school over 20 years because we didn't adequately maintain it. And the money's sitting there, and I just ask you to approve getting these projects started. Thank you.
Alexa Kathy.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I can be louder, trust me. My name is Alexa Kathy, and I graduated from Hampshire in 2018 in May. And unlike Copel and Maddie, I did not start kindergarten, so I was a newcomer. I moved to Hampshire this summer between my 7th and 8th grade year. I just finished 7th grade at Springfield Middle, and I started my 8th grade year at Hampshire. I was nervous and terrified to move schools. I remember crying to my dad, saying that no one would like me and I wouldn't have any friends. On the first day of school, I walked into Hampshire, a nervous wreck and in need of directions. The first person that helped me was Miss Brandy Rochelle, our bookkeeper. She took time out of her busy day to show me my homeroom class. She personally walked me there. She was the one who triggered the chain of kindness. From then on in, everyone I met showed the new shy girl compassion. I'd never been to a place more welcoming than Hampshire. Hampshire gave me more than just a high school diploma and college readiness skills. Hampshire gave me a sense of family with people not biologically related to me. In Hampshire, we are more like family than friends. If anyone has a life event, happy, tragic, or stressful, everyone in Hampshire school embraces you. They ensure that you are not alone in your battle. An example of this happened to me. Last June, my grandfather passed away. And in December, my grandmother passed away. All of these losses happened in my senior year. And I was heartbroken that the 2 most important people wouldn't be there to help me celebrate. My classmates and teachers rallied around me and embraced me with love during one of my toughest times. Hampshire let me shine by supporting me in many activities. Once I was a painfully shy girl, but after a year at Hampshire, my personality began to shine. I joined the cheerleading team and was involved in many clubs and organizations. Hampshire challenged me to get involved in activities, which in turn helped me have a well-rounded high school experience. Hampshire has given me a community family that has encouraged me, challenged me, and taught me. I would not be on the dean's list in my first semester of college if it were not for the many lessons learned in Hampshire. For this, I'm grateful for Hampshire Unit School, and I ask all of you to please continue to vote. Please vote to continue making improvements to the school that has given me so much.
Brian Carroll.
My name is Brian Crowe, and I want to thank everybody who came out to support us. I'd like to thank you as the board members. But I'm in the 10th grade, and I've attended Hampshire Unit School since kindergarten. This school not only means something to me, but to our community and my family. My father, older siblings, and many other family members have graduated from this great school, as well as I have graduated from kindergarten. The school not only has great academic scores and abilities, but especially bonds between our students and teachers. Here in our small school, we get the opportunity to develop a close relationship with some, if not all, of our teachers. Here in Hampshire, we get to become so close to our fellow classmates and staff members. It is as if we are one big family. And some of you notice I've got Ken's armband here for, we have 2 teachers in Hampshire who are battling cancer, but they're not battling one another. That's what Hampshire is all about, is coming together and support one another. But not only do we get to experience such great friendship, great bonds, but our community is very supportive and interactive with our school. At our school, we are often looked down for our small size. That never stopped us, nor did it ever affect our academic abilities. Hampshire is an excellent attendance and graduation rate. We also have an outstanding pattern of ACT scores. In years past, we've often finished first in the country for our ACT scores, and that's nothing to look down on. Here at our school, we strive to succeed and do great things, and we won't give up. In other schools and places, people wish for things they want, but in Hampshire, we work for what we want. If we can get the support that we deserve and have worked for, the possibilities could be endless. We work to empower all students to succeed in a changing world, and at Hampshire Unit School, we are the change that we want to see. And I just wish that everybody else could understand what this school means to us and those people behind us, because if it didn't, we wouldn't have to stand up here and tell you what it meant, because if you understood what it means, because it really means a lot to us and the people who stand behind us. Thank you very much.
Board, and I just want to start by saying thank you for your service to our community. And a lot of times it's very thankless, and I think Commissioner Sims, Commissioner Sims just said that. I think you all have the hardest elected official job in our county, so thank you for your service. And Briar is definitely a hard act to follow. I didn't know I was going to speak tonight when I got here. I thought about it getting around. I don't really know where I'll go, but I will say this. I'm here not as sheriff, but as a concerned dad and a proud dad of 2 daughters that attend our unit school in Hampshire. That is a school that this community, not just Hampshire, but Murray County, can be proud of. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of really all of our schools. I'm proud to see the growth that Murray County is facing, and you know, the new schools that are being put up. Of course, in my job, that's we are tasked with staffing some of that, and we look forward to that, and I'm very proud of that. But I'm also very proud of that school, and I would love to see some of the monies and efforts put into something that's existing, that's established, that people put and build a life around. In Hampshire and Santa Fe, Mount Pleasant, Holyoke, because those communities are built, that is their cornerstone. And Hampshire's not selling curb appeal. You can drive by and tell that, but they could use some. And that's what this isn't even about curb appeal. It's about HVAC. It's about being cool when it's hot and warm when it's cold. So this has been an issue. I'm ashamed to say that I haven't kept up to date with the business that has been in place, but this has been ongoing for over a year. And I would really ask our elected officials to really dig in and figure out and put a plan together of how they're going to move forward and support our schools. Because it disrupts. I'm very proud of these young people that have stood up here before me and how well they have represented themselves in their schools. And that's a product of Hampshire. But let's get behind them and make them feel proud, because it disrupts their lives. It disrupts our teachers. it disrupts our community, because every time you open a newspaper, we're talking about budget issues, we're talking about closing a unit school, and usually it's Hampshire. It's been Santa Fe at one point, it's been Colorado, but that's the last thing that I believe that this community needs to do, because I think we need to be building more community schools. And I would strongly encourage, and I would love to be a part of that any way that I can. And but once again, I would strongly encourage this board to moving forward to put every effort and resources they can into the existing schools that we have. Thank you.
Stephen Cal.
I think Chris is the fast counter.
You made it perfect.
Perfect. All right, so I'm Stephen Kelly, I'm a teacher at Hampshire, I'm also a preacher, so someone said a preacher can't do anything in 5 minutes, so I'm gonna do my best. How about that? I started thinking today, what makes a school great? And I believe that though there may be some different answers, I think mostly every school would say that they're great because of the people who make them work. And Hampshire is no different. Our school is extraordinary because of the incredible students, the parents, the community partners, the staff who really bring it together every day, who bring it to life every day. Their energy, their love, their passion, it's all infectious. And we are grateful to be a part of something special. I believe that Murray County is blessed to have 3 unique schools. And those schools are known as unit schools. And these schools all have something in common. And it's been said over and over again by some of the students that have come up here. And that one thing that we have in common is that these community schools or these unit schools are like big families. And there's something special about a school that houses elementary, middle, and high school students all under the same roof. There's a bond that can't be broken. I tell people all the time when I started teaching, because this is just my 3rd year teaching, I've done ministry for a long time, decided to get into teaching, but I tell people that there's something special about Hampshire because it's as close to being a private school as you can be and still be a public school. And I'm not talking about doctrine or anything like that, I'm just talking about the feel of it, because it's so small, because of the close-knit relationships that we can have, and I believe that Coley and Santa Fe would say the same thing. It's interesting to me that Walmart, who is the largest retailer in the world, has been trying for the last several years to figure out why Dollar General stores are doing so well. And they have figured it out. And if you go do a little research on it, they have figured out exactly what it is. They say that there's something about a smaller store that attracts people. This is why Walmart has decided to open more neighborhood markets and more Walmart Express stores all around the world, because they say that there's something special about community. What a novel concept. Something special about community. You know, it blows my mind that there are some people that want to close what is special. And we have something very unique in this county with 3 unit schools. And the last thing that we need to do is to close any of them or consolidate them. Instead, we need to do whatever we can to build them up, to make sure that that community continues to go forward. And so, like the rest of everyone that has come up, I just say to do whatever it takes to make sure that the funds that have been allocated are spent wisely, that we get the same respect that all big schools do, that our repairs are done so that we can focus on what needs to be focused on, and that is educating children, to make sure that they're ready for this changing world that we're pushing them into. And we can focus on that instead of focusing on all the other stuff that's going on if we can get our repairs done. Thank you very much.
David Ryder.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Marzak, board members. How much time do I have?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, it started probably 20 minutes ago. I want to talk to you about Spring Hill High School. I've spoken to you before about this. There are two important numbers we need to remember. It's 93 and 201. 93 is the amount of students that increased over the last year to this year. That's student bodies that are currently in that school. We can expect that number to continue to rise as the community continues to grow. We do not have any more time to pass this along. We're out of time. You've been discussing the Hampshire unit school for almost 4 years. We don't have 4 years this way. They don't have 4 years. Please fund Hampshire. The plans need to be sent to the commission, plans that give this county, Great Murray County, its second 1,800 student capacity school. It's the right thing to do. There are 201 families that will be here by the end of January for our new GM plant, for our new product in the GM plant that we have here in Murray County. That's in addition to the families we already have. There are 201 families on their way. We've all heard about the GM foreclosures in America, one in Canada. It is very important that we as a school board, we as a county show these big businesses that, hey, we're ready for you. Please give us more jobs, we can handle it. That being said, I would love to put pressure back on the county commission. It's not fair for them not to fully fund our schools. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. That's all of the delegations, so we'll move on. And is there a motion to approve? Mr. Sims, Ms. Ruth, and Mr. Beaver has seconded. Any discussion? Then we're ready to vote. Please vote. That motion passes. We'll move on to new business. Let me just say my ordinance here. I don't have lights, as you well know, I don't always see that anyway, but if you can just raise your hand, and I'm an old teacher, so I can relate to that, and I'll try to do my best to keep it in order as well. Under new business is what we've been waiting to see.
I've got to make just a computer switch here.
While we're waiting, I have to compliment the students as well. I thought you all did a great job. I really do.
Ben Metz is here from our architect from ESA, and he has the presentation on the schematic design for
Ms. Brink, you want to go ahead and talk, and go ahead and inform about the 2 tracts of land, just to be 100%.
Yes, one question that came up earlier was, in order to do this, there are 2 tracts of land, and I'll take my mouse and point right up here in this corner. Well, actually, I think it's in this corner. These 2 tracts of land right here that do not belong to the school district. They belong to Murray County Schools. We have been in contact with Mayor Ogles.
County Commission.
County Commission, I'm sorry. Thank you, County Commission. These belong to Murray County, so we've been in contact with the County Commission through Mayor Ogles, and they have approved, I understand Dr. Marzak got confirmation of that this evening, that they have approved deeding these over to the school district for this school to be built on this property. So I think that was kind of the thing that we had hanging on that. But with that, Mr. Metz is going to show you the schematic design. This is basically a floor plan and what the building would look like. From this point, if you approve this, then they will begin doing the construction documents, which would then be given over to Hewlett Spencer to go get a guaranteed maximum price, which is what the commission asks for in order to fund it. Our goal is to have that done before June and be back to you with that guaranteed maximum price for you to approve and send on to the commission for them to get funding in their 2019 funding year, so that we could break ground hopefully by August, if things go as planned, with an opening date of August of 2020. So when school began again. So, but in order to do that, we would have to move forward with your approval. Kind of the schedule's been set. You would have to approve this schematic design this evening for them to be able to make those deadlines. I don't know what it means if you don't, but the time schedule's been set is they would need to get that approval now before the end of the year to be able to make that schedule that's been set. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Metz.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you, everyone. Could you actually zoom out just a little bit? I think we're missing a little bit of the bottom of the screen there. There you go. And hopefully you all have it on your screens as well. As Stan mentioned, we have completed the programming phases, or phase, and also the schematic design phase of the Merrill Elementary School. So this image here shows the plot plan that we're on currently. If you look here at the bottom, this is the existing building, which we have lawn space in front. This is 7th Street. We have parking and play areas in the rear of the school. So the strategy to keep the school in operation while the new school is under construction would be to place the new school on the rear of the site. So if you go to the next page, this shows the proposed layout. So where the existing school sits today would become parking and some landscaping space out front, and then the new facility sits to the rear of the property, as you see here. Generally, the layout of the property would be a car loop in the front, so car riders would be separated from bus traffic here in the rear. We have two different populations of students in those modes of transportation. They all need to get to different areas in the school, some collect in the cafeteria and some in the gym. So it's nice to separate those two and bring them into the central portion of the school. We do have a preschool loop here on the left side, so keeping that traffic separated as well. And then service here on the right side of the property off of McGuire Street. The playground would be in this corner up here. We do a lot of studying and squeezing and moving to make sure that the playground is connected directly to the school. We don't want students to be crossing any driveways or anything to get to the playground. So that is the general layout of the property. We go to the next slide. This shows the first floor of the school. It will be the first grade school. So generally laid out with the younger students on the left-hand side, the older students here on the right, and then all the common spaces here in the center. We have administration here along the front. This will be the front drop-off and main entrance to the school. Lobby in this location, gymnasium here on the rear. It also opens up to the playgrounds for easy access back that direction. And as a centerpiece to the school, we have what we're calling the dining and atrium space. So it's open to the corridors as sort of a triangle living room type space in the center of the school. And so students can dine here, and you can also move the tables out and use it as a multifunction space as well. We do have a few other classrooms shown in sort of a pink color. This will be the music room in this location. Nice access to the stage in the gymnasium here. And also an art classroom that has views and connectivity to the lobby for art exhibitions, as well as access here to the main sleeping pod as well. Kitchen and servery in this location here. And I believe that rounds out everything on the first floor. You will see the layout of each wing is very similar to what we're doing in Battle Creek. So it is laid out in a very
community-driven function where you can have spaces in between the classrooms with glass doors that open up into those areas for common activities to happen between classrooms. If you go to the second floor, please. In the center of the second floor is the media center. The lighter stand spaces would look down to the dining area on the first floor, the gymnasium and the lobby. So we have kind of a sky bridge type connector here. And then the upper floor of the younger students on this side and the older students on this side here. So generally just academic space and the media center on the first floor. So we'll jump into a couple of exterior renderings. Generally, Columbia, it's a city of brick buildings. Most of your public buildings are brick. So we wanted to honor that history with this building. We also want to give it a 21st century sort of feel as well. We want to honor the past, but look forward to the future. So you can see brick is the main material. We did pick up sort of the rhythm of the window patterns of the existing school here, sort of tying back to the past, as well as the school that used to sit on the site, which I believe was lost in the 20s. So even older sort of historical areas there. On the front, you'll see the media center, sort of a glass encased area, sort of special prominent spot there in front. We do a kind of a sunshade element that also works with larger school signage here. We are sensitive to the fact that this school will be a little bit further away from the road, so we want to make sure that there's a nice sort of branding opportunity, if you will, to make sure that you can see the name of the school from set. We also know that there's a historic bell that students like to ring for special occasions. We created a space for it here. We didn't want to do a bell tower because nobody can see the bell. We wanted it down at student level so you can actually probably check out an hour from the president's or the principal's office. Probably not just sitting out there, but you can ring it for special occasions there. The next slide is a slightly different view of the front. And then the one after this would be the west elevation. Next slide. So this kind of shows the preschool entry to this point, and then the preschool playground is here off to the left. They have their own dedicated outdoor space. And then the next one shows the rear entry, which would be into the gym, which is here on the left-hand side. Double high volume with a little bit of a glass entry there. This would also be the bus riders drop off as well. And the last slide. This shows a view of the dining atrium. So it's a nice central space within the school. You can see up to the second floor. We also have a little bit of a clerestory window to the outside, letting in some natural light into that space. We've got a stair as well. It'll be kind of a little bit of an expanded stair for community and collaboration as you move between floors. So as Stan mentioned, this concludes our schematic design package. We do have two milestone deadlines ahead of us. One is design development, and that will inform our GMP, which Eagle Spencer will be putting together for the pricing of the school. So that'll be sometime in June, and then upon approval of that, we will create contract documents, which is what Bell will actually use to build the school, and so hopefully we are on track for that. And I'll open it up to any questions you may have.
And board members, have any questions or comments or?
Remember, you gotta stand up and wave.
Mr. Moore?
Thank you. And I may have missed this from the work session. As drawn, what's the capacity of this?
Slightly over 500 students, so 512.
512?
12, yes.
What part of that would be considered the pre-K section?
The pre-K, we've set aside 3 classrooms.
Anyone else? Well, then we need to consider approving this tonight. Is there a motion? Mr. Howell has made a motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Atkinson. Any discussion? please vote no. Mr. Dudley says yes. Yes. So that motion passes. All right, next, Spring Hill, in addition, designing for the addition of Spring Hill High School.
Madam Chair, I'll just speak to that and say that the presentation was made by Mr. Metz here on, at the work session. He is here if you have any additional questions, but I think that was discussed that evening. But based on your response that evening, we went ahead and again, because what they came back and showed you was some additional building that they were recommending that would be needed to take this to a 1,800 student school. I think during the discussion that Mr. Hewlett spoke, somebody had a question about cost, and while he and I don't want to speak for him, but I know he always says we can't tell you anything until we take it out to bid. He did tell you that with this additional space that they felt like was needed, the architects recommended they were estimating between a $30 and a $35 million cost for this addition. But it is different than what we originally began talking about. But based on your response, we went ahead and put a motion in to approve that. But obviously, as we told you at the work session, we need direction if that's what you want us to continue to do, because it is a larger scope than we originally began speaking about.
Okay, so now would be the time to discuss this, because it's basically doubling the cost that we originally talked about, doubling the space in Spring Hill High School, and hopefully, as you said, give us some time before we have to build it. It might last 10 years before we have to build the school. But it's a lot of money in addition to McDonald's, so it's a lot to consider. Board members, is there any questions or discussion? Mr. Dunn.
Should be able to swing that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What was pointed out is that the height of the work and the price varies from what the commission was expecting. I'm just curious how we proceed with this. Go back to the commission first and get their blessing before we design this larger project. Because I certainly don't want to waste a lot of engineering time and I'll for something that the commission is not going to fund. I think sort of set guidelines as to what they can fund for Springfield as well as here in that. How I think we're on track and to sort of follow the commission's request that Springfield is something different. Person doesn't go too far in the engineering until we sort of get a blessing from the commission that they're going to pay for this work.
Nobody else has anything to say? Yes, Mr. Moore.
And I'll apologize because I obviously didn't make for some time, so that shouldn't be surprising to anyone listening to say that now. I'm not sure if that's the right choice, but I think it is worth discussing, especially as the price tag on this client is considerably higher. So if I need to, I can put that form of motion to send it back to work. Is that how we have to do it? Just no action on that. I'm happy with no action and to have to go back on this conversation.
Your motion is to table it or just to defer it, send it back to the, I'd say send it back.
We can send it back to this the work session. That's my
Is there a second? Mr. Beaver, Mr. Howell.
I'll just be quick. And I mean, I do think the cost is considerably more than what we anticipated. That's why I asked that question, how much is it going to cost? However, I feel spending even $40 million is better to get us along for another 10 years than spending potentially $100 to $110 million to build another high school in that area. I just, and then we still have, what are we going to do at Springfield until we're still going to be in the same boat until we build a $100 million high school. So although I think we should go ahead and see if the commission is receptive to this, we got to do something at some point. Whether the commission is going to do it or not, we have to do what's in the best interest of Murray County and Murray County Public Schools.
I personally think this is a definition of a rock in a hard place. We really need to do something for Hill. We need to make it where they have a cafeteria, they need an auditorium, they need something with music, something they've got issues there, parking, all of that. And then the issue of whether we went ahead with that, and then we almost right away have to start making that another high school, that by the time we build it, maybe $100 million. And I don't know much about that, but I bet you I'm not too far off. Certainly more than what we're spending now. So I'm all for having more discussion about it, but I do think we can't put this off very long. It needs to be part of whatever the capital ask is in the spring. If we are,
I was just simply, my moving to the next meeting is not just planning it indefinitely. That's not my intention. I think one good more meeting about this to kind of clear a few things and puts us probably in place. We need to make a decision. And I would agree with that. It does need to be put off.
Mr. Baker.
Thank you, ma'am. You know, I agree with Mr. Moore. You know, this could save us some time because how many times did we kick the McDowell design back to the county commission? A month later, they kicked it back to us. So, you know, if we wait a month, that could save us 6 months because we don't know what the county commission is going to say about this.
Thank you, Mr. Beard, appreciate that. And I would also encourage the board, don't send anything back to the county commission without GMP, because they're just going to send it back to you guys. And I think we kind of saw that this past spring with dealing with McDowell and Spring Hill. So if you do want to delay until January, I would not delay further past January, because then we run the risk of not being able to open by August 1st, 2020.
Well, I will go on and say that I think they've already told us, even if we made a decision on this, so they started work, because at the end of January, 28th of January, you have your meeting, they probably would not have plans ready to get a GMP by June on this. I mean, I think that would probably not be able to happen, but I'm going based on the timelines they've given us. And I don't know.
Let's say Ben, just if in January they were to approve this, how long would it take to get a GMP on Spring High School? June? July?
I think.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, we're going to start with that one.
That's it, sorry.
Just for reference, at this point we finished schematics for McDowell, and we are pushing really, really hard to get a GMP by June. And so if you imagine we're sort of one entire phase of design behind on Spring Hill High School now. And as of today, we do not have a clear scope from the board as to, is this a 100,000 square foot addition, or is this a smaller addition? So I don't know that I can answer that right now.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
I think Doug wants to speak.
Yes.
think that timeline would be ideal. We'd be working on budgets at that point in time. We would be able to move property tax around to see what we could fund at that time. At this point in time, we just did borrowing for the EMG plans. It would be a better timeline to go ahead and get the GMP around that June, July area so that we could approve a budget and then pass the debt after that budget has been approved. So that would be an ideal timeline to get either of these projects done.
So you're saying we could put this in the work session, discuss it, hopefully make a decision in January, and that would still maybe get us in July for.
Well, as far as the timeline for the GMP, that's on there. If they get that done and they have time, if the GMP is done in that July timeframe, that would actually kind of fall right in line to where we could actually make a decision on the county commission side. If they had a GMP ready by March, the commission, and I don't want to speak for the commission, but I can speak towards debt capacity, and I can tell you that it would be impossible to get it done in March to approve it, approve funding, and actually do the borrowing, because it would require some revenue moves. We have to, move some more funds towards debt service to fund those new schools. So we cannot, we're not allowed to move those unless we're approving the budget. So, yeah, so that would be an ideal time.
Thank you.
Dr. Marzak, what was, I think you told me earlier, what's the number of students spring high school has added since the beginning of this year?
93 students since August.
I think, and I'd say this because I want to understand, I think this is an imminent, something needs to be done. I think tonight is probably not going to be deciding that, but there's still any questions that need to be. It would be my goal to have this wrapped up. I think at least I know some of those go forward to do. My goal for us as a board really put the work into solving some of these questions, deciding what we want to do. And I know we may have a little more time on that. I would rather go ahead and get our part done so that we're not canceled.
If we're going to discuss it in the work session and kind of come to some consensus on it, could we not have a call special that night? That way it would be, that's what.
And Ms. Kinzer, I can just say that I think any time at this point, because the challenge is, it's not just the August date. So this is an existing school. If it wasn't finished on August 1st and it was finished on October 1st, we could still occupy it. If the challenge is not the opening day of the school, the challenge is we have a window of opportunity to ask for money. And that closes for a year. So if you don't get it next summer, then you're waiting until the next summer because the commission has said, we're not going to give you funding until you bring GMP. And it's my understanding, Mr. Lieutenant, I speak to this, that once they decided, here's what we're going to fund this year, you're done for it. And so if we get that GMP done in October 1st, we're probably, even though we could break ground and probably have the school ready by the next October or November, they're probably not going to take up funding until next year we get the budget cycle again. Am I speaking correctly? Is that?
When you're talking about, 18 million, 35 million, combination of those 53 million, those are borrowings, and we have to budget for that to be able to pay for that debt service. Part of that means increasing our debt capacity. We only have the ability to move around our revenues once a year, so I would say that that's accurate when you're talking about that kind of money. In planning with the commission, we've had some ideas of a capital fund for smaller, 2 million, 1 million type things, and we will be working on that in the future to kind of be able to do that without having to incur debt. But at this point in time, 18 million, 35 million, that's a one-off kind of thing. As far as doing the large borrowing, getting the best interest rate possible, also look at how we would have to increase our revenues if that was necessary at that point in time.
Talking much tonight. Then, based on what Mr. LeCone is telling us, I would encourage any county commissioners that are listening and watching this to understand that this is coming. Go ahead and start planning for it as a body now. I think it's clear that between these two projects, between Val and doing something in Springville High School to address clearly a need there, between those two schools, there's a large bargaining that's going to be taking place, so those discussions can go ahead and start talking about, without GMP discussions of how to make it look.
I completely agree, and, it is my job to answer to not only the school board and be here as I've wanted to do, but as well with the budget committee, financial management board, and the commission, to kind of be a go-between that, we've never really had before, which I think is exciting. It's something that helps us both work together, especially through funding and budget processes, and so, I'm at this meeting right now. They're gonna know. I was planning for budgets. I just hit up Jamie in the back and said, all right, how much is this gonna cost? Where is this gonna be at? You got a plan yet? What's your GMP? He doesn't have one yet. I definitely don't want to be caught with my pants down in budget season, and hear that there's 3 schools coming online. Like I had previously, it's like, hey Doug, do you have enough money for a couple of schools? Well, right now, let me figure that out. But now I've got a heads up, and I think this will be extremely beneficial going forward. They will know about it. I mean, I actually texted my deputy finance director that's at the county commission meeting, and she knows that you went out this last resolution, so that's a part of it.
Thank you, David. I'm gonna take advisement, under advisement of staff, and I am leaning toward having a special meeting to approve whatever we decide by consensus, so we can move ahead and do as we can. We know the commission's not going to do anything without a GMP, and we got Doug negotiating here, so it's all good. But there is a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion? I think we're ready to vote.
The motion is to move it to the January work session.
We ready to vote? I didn't hear who. Who made the motion? Mr. Moore and Mr. Beaver. Please vote. Mr. Deputy? Oh, yes. Motion passed. Next on the agenda is the renovations for Hampshire School, and number 3, and then 4 is kind of together in a way. Take the second thing. Mr. Atkins is moved to put them together and to approve both 313 and 314 as a second. Mr. Howell, second that. Is there any discussion? Then we're ready to vote.
I'll say it now to your motion. Who was it?
Mr. Atkinson and Mr. Howell.
Please vote.
Mr. Douglas votes yes. And that motion does pass. Okay, moving on here. The next item of business is the RFP for construction services.
Madam Chair, we communicated with the school board by email because this was not on the work session agenda. We actually had on the work session agenda a recommendation for a $4.2 million guaranteed maximum price for repairs at multiple schools. That is work that was all identified in the EMG audit and was funded through the new bond funding we've got. However, and as I told you in the email, we made the assumption that we could do that on our current contract with Fuel Spencer, which was to do the building here and the addition to Spring High School. Mr. Woolver contacted me following that meeting, and he can speak if he further gave me questions, and said that that did not fall within the scope of that contract, and so we would have to issue an RFP to request proposals for these projects. So we're recommending an RFP. We pulled that from the agenda, that $4.2 million GMP recommended proposal from Fuel Spencer. We are recommending to you that this RFP be issued. This would allow us to do work on multiple projects like this for a period of up to 2 years. However, I will say, and with your approval of this, we're going to issue the RFP immediately, hopefully have proposals back to you for work who would want to do this at the January meeting, because we were trying, January work session, because we were trying to get this work scheduled to be done in the summer, because there's a lot of these major renovations of schools just can't happen when school's going on. Replacing windows and doors was a big part of it. Several schools doing some bathroom upgrades in the restroom, replacing all the plumbing, petitions, those kind of things. We still would ask that you would consider with that special call meeting following the work session and go ahead and approve a proposal. We don't know yet who that be. We don't even know if Fuel Spencer will submit a proposal. We hope they will, but they'll have to respond to RFP, and then, hopefully we could move forward from there. Obviously, if they did and you chose them, they already have a bid ready. But that would be our recommendation, that you would approve us moving forward with RFP.
Mr. Moore.
I had a motion to approve that first, but I have a motion.
All right, Mr. Moore, move to approve the RFP presented. Is there a second? Ms. Morency seconds the motion. Discussion?
The only question I have, Stan, is the language in here made such that for complete school construction is separate than this RFP?
Yeah.
And we can carve that out, that's not a problem?
Yeah, you can pull that out. This is just what you choose to assign. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's up to us, whatever we choose.
Correct.
Okay, and Stan did mention to me that it would really be needed perhaps to have a special call to approve it after the work session. So if we take up both of those matters in the work session, I think that would be good. All right, any other discussion on the motion? Then we are ready to vote.
Please vote.
Mr. Dudley votes yes, and that motion does pass. All right, we moved from the agenda, the Regions ATM MOU, and that actually shouldn't be under new business, it should be 3.2 other new business. Okay, we had a discussion about it at the work session. Mr. Dudley, you want Mr. Okay.
Okay, one of my concerns that I have is, are we setting devices in our schedules that are going to be tempting to people to break in and enter our schools and create problems. That's one of them. I just don't want, we will have very few break-ins in our schools. We hear on the news, on a regular basis, that people break into businesses and have these, and tremendous amount of damage to buildings as well as the other, if somebody, I understand the lady said that there was insurance involved, if the break-in trying to get to the ATMs, do their insurance policies cover all the damage done to our schools. Then another concern is, they said that they would be reloading the money in these machines. Well, all the businesses and banks I see in town, they have armed police officers. They're loading, refilling these machines. I'd like to know who is going to be present when they're refilling these machines and give them on the arm. It seems like it would be an opportune time for somebody to come in and try and rob them while they got the machine open. Possibility of that's concerns.
Yeah, so we've had ATMs in Spring Hill High School for about a little over a year and a half now. Good questions, by the way, Mr. Duffy. Good point, good concerns. We haven't had any problems to date as of yet with the Lister Hill Credit Union. And one of the things that I work with Regions Bank Services on, they've added a certificate of insurance onto your board session. For each occurrence, there's $1 million policy. Damage to rented premises is also at about $100,000. There's a general aggregate of $3 million damage insurance. There's also, if you look under the workman's compensation, if there's anybody hurt, there's $1 million policy for each accident. So they provided a pretty hefty certificate of insurance that I've asked Mr. Wolver to take a look at, and he gave his thumbs up on it. That should cover it if there's any incidents, any individual schools.
Well, I can tell you that a parent can care less about $1 million. Their child is healed $100 million.
And that's another reason why we have access control and locking buildings. Nobody can get in without presenting themselves at the door and showing ID and why they're there. So we actually have multiple layers of safety and security to ensure that our students and our staff and our buildings are safe. And so those will just add another layer of security to it as well.
Who is going to do it? Or is an additional person bringing a firearm on the school property?
Is an additional person bringing a firearm on the school property? Do you mean like maybe the armed guard that will bring the money? I would assume so. That would be the case, but it's no different than our SROs who are currently housed and located in every single building. So actually, there would be 2 firearms on property during those times.
But are we doing background checks on all these individuals? Now,
The guards that are bringing the money would not have contact with students. All they would be doing is bringing the money, servicing the ATM, and leaving. So we would not do background checks on them because we wouldn't be leaving them alone with children under any circumstance. That would be up to banks or Regions Bank Services. And I'm sure they've done background checks on their employees. Or they give a couple $100,000 in a truck and a gun. So I'm kind of thinking that they pretty much have that covered. I understand. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Really good points. Anyone else? Mr. Powell?
I guess one of my concerns, in addition to, I didn't even think about what Mr. Dudley had, but is we're going to enter into a partnership with a company that doesn't do business in Murray County. We're considering going into a partnership through our diploma program and partnering with local businesses to do things. And we're basically giving a 5-year contract, 5 years, I believe, or 3 years. We're giving a contract to a company who has no invested interest in this community. I would much rather see us go out to the community maybe ask some of the local banks who are in our community, who do business in our community, and see if they're interested in this and maybe interested in partnering with us for the future. So that maybe this could be a revenue stream for our diploma program to fund stuff that goes into our schools. Right now, I saw the matrix on what they're giving us, and if we made $1,000 a month, I think that would be a high dollar amount. Not that I'm looking at as a revenue stream, but I would much rather try to partner with someone who actually does business here, so that when we go and say, hey, you donate some money to our diploma program or something down the future, a little more apt to, because, oh yeah, we have a working relationship with you already. So I would like for you, if you would go out to maybe into the community and maybe look for people here that do business here.
So the money that's made off the ATMs actually goes back to the school to use for student incentives or staff incentives. So it's not coming to a general fund at the district level. This would be strictly, basically a fundraiser for the schools, if you will. That's the way it would be viewed.
And that's fine. I have no, even if we do that with another local bank, I think just having that partnership with someone who is actually in our community would go much further along than this company out of, I don't even know where they're out of, but they're not here. You know, I mean, I'm not saying you have to go with Farmers and Merchants, who is here, but there's, you know, plenty of banks that do business in Murray County that kind of have a little more invested interest in this third-party company.
Mr. LaCombe.
And I looked over it as well, and a portion of that fee will come back to the schools. But as far as information on this, the only reason I want to kind of, I guess, talk about this is because I will have a centralized purchasing department that will deal with quotes and bids and purchase orders and things of that vendor selection. And in this particular instance, where multiple vendors or banks contacted about wanting an ATM in there, and that they provide possibly a matrix as well, and, you know, were they compared to see who had the best matrix, I guess would be my question.
No, this is not anything that was pursued by my office. They reached out to me and asked if they could form an MOU with the school board to explore this possibility. So there were no bids solicited, there were no RFPs put out. They approached us with a possible partnership.
I guess it's, and currently, I do not have a centralized purchasing department that I'm the supervisor of, but in the future, this is something I would see is working with that school to, you know, ask them if they have, you know, reached out to others and if that was the best matrix that they got to help them financially over time. Because yeah, it's $1.50 or $1 per transaction now. But the more years that's in there, the more transactions that occur on it, the more financial impact that it has. So if it is a 5-year agreement or however long of an agreement it is, you know, to see the max benefit out of that over that amount of time would be beneficial, I think. So hopefully in the future that's something, you know, and something that I know my financials are on the agenda. I know I'm going AWOL here, but I just also wanted to say I had a meeting, Dr. Word and I met with all the principals and bookkeepers last week, and it was extremely beneficial, and it was very appreciated, and I feel like we're, you know, getting very close to being all together with each individual school bookkeeper, and I feel that this kind of would work into that. So we're just excited about that meeting, and I see promise going forward. So.
We put you on consent because that was a real compliment to you, because a lot of times we spend a lot of time trying to figure the financials out. So we appreciate that. And I do think that we should give you some time to really have, you know,
That's fine. I just wanted to comment on the vendor selection.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, Mr. Moore?
I would just say, I would be opposed to this for the simple reason is I am not in favor of turning our students into revenue sources. If this was something we wanted to give convenience to our students to have, but I see no other reason. I just don't want to turn them into revenue sources. That's not what we're doing.
So what we talked about at the work session was this is not only for students but also in the community. So basketball games, you know, baseball games, you know, if you don't have cash on hand, you know, lot of our concession stands don't take the credit. So you can go get some cash and come down and buy some popcorn and do whatever. It was merely as a convenience. And so if the board doesn't see this as a good opportunity, it's fine, not a problem. I can definitely communicate with Ms. Harvey. If you want me to reach out to First Farmers or, Community Bank or whoever you want me to reach out to, I'd be happy to reach out to them, see if they're willing to do it and bring this back to you at a later time. It's up to the will of the board. I'm good either way.
Let me say this, I like his idea that each school will make that call as well. If they are interested in it, they can reach out to that. Mr. Hammond?
Yes, Mr. Moore, I absolutely agree with that. And I was looking as a revenue source for our kids. Most of our kids don't have debit cards. Some do, some don't. Parents do, though, and that's what I think would be more convenient, is just to the parents. I can't tell you how many times I've showed up with $5, and I'm looking to get into the game because I have the $5. Or my kid, I borrowed money from my kid who actually has cash to get into the game or buy a hot dog. So I was looking more as a convenience to me as a parent. And I would like you to reach out to other local governments, not necessarily wanting to cheat you, but just see if there's any interest in that. If not, then we can go with this. But I just like to give the local banks an opportunity to finish it.
I don't think there's a motion on the floor. There's no motion. Do I hear a motion?
I'll have to make a motion to table it to this work session.
There's a motion to table it to the next work session. Okay. Table it. Any, as a second for the motion? I would
just move it. I like to move it to the next one.
Right, with a different table. Is there a second to it, please? All right, Mr. Beaver. A second, any discussion? All right, the motion is to move this item to the January work session. Are we ready to go?
Go back up to consent and click on
It would be,
2.14.
And go ahead and vote on that.
Yes, go ahead and vote on that, yeah,
Okay.
right there. Scroll back down. You have it. There it is, 2.14, Regions 18, I believe.
it's the last one in the consent.
Go ahead.
2.14.
And click take action.
Yes, it is, but I think, yeah, I'll submit the motion.
Recommend approval to move to the January work session.
The last thing I can see.
Let's take everything that's How long will it be?
Okay, please vote.
Mr. Dudley? All right, that motion does pass. Okay, we're ready now for instructional bids. Dr. Woodard?
Thank you, Chair Kinzer. Thank you, Chair Kinzer. Board members, I come with number 4 this afternoon just to ask for permission to continue the subscription of online textbooks that we have in our high schools. If we do not continue the subscription, which will end in February, we will not have a resource for our high school students before testing. So we want to keep those resources in place, and that is proposal 4.1.
What, did I hear a motion? Yeah. All right, there's a motion to do both, the bid on both of the resources there. Is there a second? Mr. Howell, any discussion? Anyone else, Mr. Dudley?
Ms. Payne.
Madam Chair. Dr. Woodard, look like I'm mad at him. My concern is why we wait till the middle of the year to make these purchases? I feel like we wasted half a year and we could have used these resources. Like I would have said, if we have our scores, I wonder what the scores would have been if we could have used the resources for the full year. So that's my concern, is about the procedure that we make these purchases. Like, no, why we can't make these purchases at the beginning of the year, or even in the summer, so we will get full utilization of and not basically give away a half year's payments for services that we're not able to use. I've had that concern for a long time. I wish we really looked at the dates that would make these purchases. I'm not opposed to it. I believe Dr. Woodard, when he says that it will help the district, I fully believe it will. But I just want us to look seriously in the future about when we make these purchases and make them as early in the school year as we can.
I believe it's renewal. It's not.
Yeah, that was my question. The high school is a renewal. The math grades through 8, that is a new purchase,
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Any other discussion? Yes, Ms. Gregor?
All this is,
Yes.
We put it.
Yes, sir, that it always within budget. We will be spending our.
Mr. Beaver? Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I think I asked some questions the other night about this. The new program, the 8 coming in this late in the year, how will it affect the teachers preparing the kids for testing?
Thank you, Mr. Weaver, that's a great question. Want to clarify perspective, reading math is a textbook adoption. Reading math is a textbook that the state adopted, so it's not a program. It is the book that we should have adopted. As you all know, currently we're several years behind. If we go ahead and purchase, our middle schools will have something, the high schools will have something, and the bulk of the money that we allocated in the budget this year was for K through 4. So we took care of K through 4. Our high schools had the subscription, that is now about to run out, so we take care of that. The high schools we set, but then we had nothing for our middle schools. This will now bring our middle schools up to speed, so we have some resources for our middle schools as well.
Will it really, I guess, improve the testing this year for our middle school, or will it be basically for next year?
We believe it will definitely make a difference. The way the books work now, we have to, the way the books work now, I think that's the big you all have been for several years, is that the books are now consumable books. So the companies want you to order every year, you to order so many every year. It's not like the old hardback textbooks. They're consumable books that kids will use and then you reorder the next year. Over time, if you order in bulk, you'll be saving money. But this will be a purchase of $19.08 per student. And for $19, you get the instruction book, we get the teacher's manual, we get the practice and problem solving book, and we also get online diagnostic assessment that will give us an idea of where kids are with their skills, which in turn will help us to really go back in and provide the content-related strength for each student that we see every week. So we think this is a good purchase that can only help. Based on where we are now, our performance looks right now, we can only go up, and we know that this will be a big help us move forward. But certainly as we look at next year, looking at budget time, I've already started talking to Doug, we talked about this, thinking about what this is going to look like for next year. If we spend the BDP allotment now, and again, the BDP allotment line is $77.50 per child, we're going to have to spend close to $1 billion. Maybe it's going to hurt once. And then after that, every year, we just spend on the subject area that's going to be uploaded to the state for next year. So then you're staying current because you're only spending on the adopted text. If I'm being honest and respectful of the board right now, we are several years out, several years behind. And this will help us at least start to catch up. That's why I'm bringing it forward at this time.
Okay, that's what I'm concerned about is the spinner in using these books in mid-year. You know, does that give the teachers and the students ample time for it to be reflected in this year's test scores?
Can I speak to that as a former teacher? There are 18 weeks left in school. 18 weeks.
That's not much.
2 semesters, that's plenty. If you have PD for this, the first week of January, is that what you're planning? Right?
Yes, we have more people playing.
Right. And I don't see why that could be implemented pretty quick. And I would think these teachers would be, if there's some going, yes, back there. I mean, they're not sitting there waiting and thinking, I haven't had this first year, so I'm not going to do this. I think they are just like sponges and they want anything that's going to happen. After all, those scores are on them, you know, their job. So I'm not trying to, I'm just speaking as a teacher here, that we've got 18 weeks of instruction left for these kids, and that's a lot. And I think it will impact it. Anybody else?
I'll just say that it's true that children always, they like new, they like innovative, and when you present them with different concepts and something like grab a child, and when they get a concept, that's how they teach other children about what they learn. When they grasp a hold of something, they have like the times when the children get in their groups and they teach, that starts to spark, that helps them. The teacher brings a new idea, kids gravitate towards new ideas, new concept and models, so I think it's a good thing.
Any other discussion? Okay, there's a motion on the floor, then we are ready to vote. Please vote now. It's not okay. Okay, that motion does pass. And now we're getting into the agenda. Yeah. Look at the. Oh, one more thing, important thing is, I'm bringing the motion to waive the policy of the evaluation. We discussed this at the work session, and I brought it forward myself, waiving the policy for Dr. Marzak's mid-year evaluation. Several seconds, I think. They were ready to vote. Please vote now. yes. Okay, we're at the end of the agenda, but I have a couple of announcements and that I want to make, just FYI sort of thing. About a month ago, Dr. Marzak told me that he was asked and honored to be asked to be a speaker at the National School Board Association Convention in Philadelphia, which is a really big honor. And I'll let him tell you what he's going to speak on. He wants me to attend as well. I don't know if he needs backup or whether he's heard how fun it is to drive me places. I need security, I might need security. But I'm really, I had an opportunity at the DSBA to talk to, we went to a board chair workshop and I talked to Keys, Mr. Bill Allen. I always remember his name because I know his name now. It's Juanita Keys in Mount Pleasant, so you may know her or remember her anyways. But he and his wife go every year. They said they really get a lot of great information, a lot of networking. And so with that in mind, I have somewhat agreed to go, and I'm really kind of proud. I want you to tell them what they want you to talk about.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair Kinzer. So NSBA has heard what we're doing in Murray County Schools with regards to rural education, how we're really making an impact at Santa Fe, Culleoka, Hampshire. We have principals that are in the rural principal pipeline through the state of Tennessee that are really making an impact on their colleagues. And they want me to come up to Philadelphia at the NSBA conference and speak about it because the National School Boards Association sees rural education as the next big initiative. We've been hitting urban education for a long time, but as a country, we've been leaving out our students in rural areas. As we know in Murray County, there are many rural areas that have no cellular service. And to me, as one of the most industrialized nations in the country, that's a travesty. And so they want me to come up and speak about what we're doing. They like what we're doing. They think it's really innovative. It's really cutting edge. And they want me to speak to other school board members about making rural education a priority in the United States.
I just, once again, transparency, I didn't want you to hear that Chris and I had gone off on a weekend to Philadelphia, so. But anyway, I think it's a real honor, and, we are at least the system that has so many unit schools, so we're very unique in that, and we're very proud of that, so it'll be good. If there's no other issues, yes, Ms. Thomas.
I just want to say thank you to McDowell School for having us and for all of our lovely gifts. Just thank you for that. Thank you for having us tonight. Appreciate it.
Yes, I double that. I did have that next on the agenda here. I might have forgotten it, you never know. So, but I'm really thrilled at the McDowell. As they know, I got to see the plans and had to be, but I was really excited about the McDowell and how it looks like it just really fit in with the community concept that it was well. So, if nothing else, I'll entertain our motion to adjourn. And Mr. X, motion to adjourn, Mr. Howe. Thank you.